Hey YouTube, this is Easy Breezy. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing two types of self-awareness that make you a stronger person, an untouchable person, and you can only master these two types of self-awareness if you are put in the situation. You can't master it by reading about it. You can't master it by studying it. Um, you really have to be put in these scenarios, and not just for a couple months, but for years, to truly master yourself in these environments. So, number one, an environment where you learn to master one type of self awareness is in solitude. If you've lived alone before, then you understand this level of self awareness. When you are in solitude, you are forced to get to know yourself. You are forced to sustain yourself, take care of yourself. You are forced to go within. When we're around other people, we get so distracted by other people, conversation, gossip, whatever, like other people's energy. And we never really have the time to go within. And being in solitude helps you master being alone, loving yourself, taking care of yourself. One thing that being alone helps you do is it exercises your detachment dependency, right? So if we are always around people all the time, or if we're like always in a relationship, then most likely breakups are going to be harder for people who are always in a relationship or always around people, because they don't know how to be alone. They can't even process life being alone. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. So these people who don't have, well, who's never had experience being alone and living alone for at least a couple years, then these people tend to be more codependent. They don't have a healthy sense of detachment. These people can be in relationship after relationship after relationship. And yes, relationships can be a beautiful thing. It can be very blissful. It can be very comfortable and pleasurable. But that indulging in pleasure all the time, it can have you stagnant. It can have you stagnant. And the things that you normally would do when you're alone, and the things that you normally would work on, and the things that you normally would create if you were alone, you don't even get the chance to do because you're always around someone. So not only does this prohibit you from practicing healthy detachment, but it strengthens your codependency aspects of your personality. The more you are around people, the more you need them, right? So being alone, being in solitude, it helps you learn how to be independent. And once you already know what it's like to live alone, once you've decorated your space, you eat what you want to eat, you have discipline, you created a schedule for yourself, and you just really know how to love yourself like on a top tier level. Like, once you've experienced that, you'll always remember that. Like, you can't undo that. So even if you're in a relationship for a couple years or whatever, and something happens to where y'all break up, or you have to live alone again after being with someone for so many years, it's still going to be painful. I'm not saying that it's not going to be painful, but you are more equipped. You are better equipped um, for your healing process, because you already know what it's like to live alone. You already know what it's like to love yourself and take care of yourself. And some people don't know how to do that. They've never been independent. They've never lived alone. They've never paid their own bills. They've always had roommates, or always lived with a man, or always lived with a female. So they don't know what it's like to be independent, fully independent. So when it comes to being alone, it's very hard for people to do. So also, ways to get to know yourself while you are in solitude. Number one, just indulge in your gifts. If you feel like you've always wanted to make music, try it. If you feel like you've always wanted to start painting, try it. If you feel like, you want to just do anything or express any side of your creativity, then being in solitude gives you the time and space to be able to explore those gifts without any distractions, anyone talking to you, anyone needing you for things. It just, it allows you to learn yourself. Also, things that I do when I'm alone is I save a lot more money on food. Because when I am alone, I tend to eat less than I do in a relationship. Because when I realized that when I was in a relationship, I was always thinking about eating and food and what is our next meal, because I didn't want to risk my partner being hungry. So I was always thinking about the next meal. And the more I ate, the more I got used to eating all day. Whereas, before I met, my partner last or whatever, I really didn't eat that much. Like, I ate once a day. I used to drink a lot of tea, a lot of coconut water. Like, I was just a very scarce eater. Like, I can't explain it. I just didn't eat that much, I wasn't starving myself, but I just didn't eat that much. And when I was in the relationship, I ended up gaining like 20 pounds of happy weight, right? So yeah, that changed my lifestyle in a lot of ways. And I'm not going to say good ways, because it's not like I was eating healthy and I gained weight. It's not like I was in a gym gaining weight and, building real gains. I was gaining fat. And I was getting sluggish and tired and stuff like that. So yeah. Also, another thing that you learn in solitude is you learn how to take accountability for your life more. Because when you are alone, you have more time to just sit and think. You have all the time and space in the world to sit and think about your life. Sit and think about your past friendships, your past relationships, your past jobs, your past experiences. You have so much time to just sit and review your life and say, like sometimes I'll be sitting down and I'll randomly think about a friend that I used to have that I'm not friends with anymore. And I'll think in my head, is there anything that I could have done to salvage that relationship? And then I'll think, should I reach out to that person? And then I'll be like, wait, I forgot this person did this and this to me. And then I'll be like, never mind. So, but also, I've also been in solitude and thought to myself, had that same thought process and realized, what, I probably could have handled that a little bit better. Now that I think about it, let me just go ahead and reach out to that person. And because I had that space and time to reflect on my own actions, then I was able to develop some compassion and some empathy to reach out to that person and, try to fix things or try to talk about things. So it's just like you realize so much about yourself when you are alone. Also, like, you become so prolific when you're alone. Like, if you have a business or any type of like entrepreneurial, endeavors that you do, creative endeavors, you have so much time and space to just do anything you want to do. Like, when I'm alone, I am able to produce so much content. Like, single me can put out a piece of content on every single platform every day with no problem. I can put out a YouTube video every day, 365 days a year, a post on Instagram, TikTok, every single day, even another short on YouTube every day, because I'm just constantly creating. What do I want to talk about today? What do I want to record today? What do I want to do? It's just me, my camera, my mic, and I just get to work, and it doesn't even feel like work. It feels like fun. So you become so productive when you are alone. That's the best part of being alone, honestly, being productive and being prolific. So one way that I get closer to myself when I'm in solitude, and I can do this while I'm never mind, not really, but I tried to do this in a relationship, but it didn't really work because me and the guy wasn't really on the same frequency. But I love studying my astrology, my human design, whatever placements that I have or aspects of my charts. I like to search them on YouTube and just watch 10 different dissertations on every single placement. And I just love studying myself. I love it. When I'm bored, I study my natal chart. If I'm feeling discouraged, I study my natal chart. If I'm feeling stagnant, I just study my natal chart, because it's always entertaining. It's always entertaining to learn about yourself, So yeah, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn how to be alone. You learn how to be content being alone. You learn how to be happy. You learn how to not only survive, but truly thrive when you're alone. It comes to the point where you would rather be alone than live with someone. That's how high the quality of life is when you live alone, for real. So it's a great feeling, it can be a great feeling. I'm not saying that it's automatically going to be a great feeling, but it can be, and I have experienced it being a very beautiful, peaceful, productive, prolific lifestyle. Okay. So the second type of self-awareness that you don't really master unless you're in the situation is self-awareness around other people. Okay? In relationships, friendships, and just groups. Now, the reason why solitude self-awareness is different from communal self-awareness is because in solitude, you do all this studying about divine laws and all this stuff and how to manifest and how to detach and how to control your emotions, and you just taking all this information, right? Now, when you're around people, that information gets put to the test. When you're in solitude, you're not triggered, or at least rarely. No one's there to trigger you. No one is there to test you. You don't really have fight or flight experiences where you have to make a decision quick, or a subconscious decision. Everything is peaceful, calm, and smooth and collected when you're alone. But when you're around people, that is when your knowledge is put to the test. Okay, this is when knowledge turns into wisdom. So when you are around people, it really shows where your level of self-awareness is, because if people around you can trigger you easily, they can still control you. If people around you, whether you are in a friend group or in a relationship, if people are still able to control you by your emotions like a puppet master, you still got some growing and maturing to do. So people will test you. They will test your knowledge. They will test all that self-awareness that you obtained in solitude. They test all that knowledge that you've obtained in solitude. They put it to the test because no one is perfect. People will trigger you. People will bring out emotions in you that you thought was healed. Okay? So, one thing that I realized about myself is, okay, I lived alone for about 2 years before I got in a relationship. And I was totally peaceful. Like, I was growing my business. I was getting finer. I was getting healthy. I was working out multiple times a week. Like, my life was just so peaceful. And when I met my ex, we were both in a peaceful place, and we were both like very ready for each other. Like, once we met, it was just like fireworks, and we were like joined at the hip, right? So being around each other, we realized that, number one, there hasn't been a lot of studying about relationships on either side, I think. I don't think so. I think that we were so focused on ourselves. He was focused on himself and I was focused on myself, but we never actually studied communication or studied relationships. So once we got together, I think we were both projecting our idea of a relationship on the other person without actually getting to know that person first, or asking that person, what is your idea of a healthy relationship? What do you want? I think we were both kind of just like, thinking, like, we didn't literally say this, but like, I think we were both kind of just like projecting what we wanted. My idea of a happy relationship is this, and he was projecting his version of what he feels like a happy, safe relationship is, or whatever. And through that polarity, we bickered and fought like nonstop the first year we were together. Like, it was crazy. We bumped heads so much. It literally made me think, like, this guy is literally bringing the worst out of me. And I blamed him a lot, like, for starting arguments and stuff like that. But I didn't realize that we just didn't get to know each other. We just came in each other's life and we just projected on each other, and tried to use the other person as a catalyst to create this perfect scenario in both of our minds, but we never actually came as one. We never actually learned what the other person's love language was. We never actually learned what the other person was expecting out of a relationship. I wasn't honoring my initial standards and boundaries. He probably wasn't honoring his initial standards and boundaries. So it's just like, so many things was brought up to the light once we got together. Things that I thought I had figured out. Feelings that I thought were healed. It was brought to the light from that relationship. And honey, when I tell you, I mean, we broke up like so many times that first year. I'm shocked we even made it to year 2. Okay. So, year 2, it got a lot better, like a whole lot better. Like, it made a whole 360. Well, seemingly. So I learned that, in that relationship, I'm like, I thought that I was this healed person. I thought that I was this unbothered person. And I thought I had boundaries. I thought I had standards for myself. I thought I was, I thought I was untouchable. I thought my energy was untouchable. And that relationship showed me that I could be touched. And it reminded me that I actually did have a codependency issue, meaning that I wanted to make their relationship work after an argument. I don't think that's codependency, but I think codependency is still involving yourself in a situation even after it has proven to be toxic, and even after it has proven to not work. And I also realized that I had a control issue, right? So my control issue in particular was me thinking that I could get him to see love the way I do. So for example, he didn't want me to wear certain things, right? And my love language, me being an Aquarius, honey, I need my freedom. Like, literally, a guy that I'm in a relationship with that lets me be me is literally like my highest form of love language. I love guys that love me, everything about me. Like, I desire that. Every relationship I was in, the guy tried to like change me. Stop wearing this. Why you get that tattoo? Why you do that? Why? And it's just like, nigga, like, if you don't like me, like, let's stop wasting time. You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna be me. So the highest form of love language for me is a guy that loves me for me and that lets me be free. I'm not talking about free like talking to other guys. I'm talking about creatively free. You know? Like, he doesn't get all crazy and weird if I want to wear something with a little bit of skin showing, or if I want to be on, my social medias modeling or doing some type of creative expression and, just doing me. Like, so his idea of a relationship was like literally the exact opposite. He did not resonate with that mentality. And we argued about that so often. And I used to call him controlling. You're controlling. You be trying to tell me what to do. And you don't even pay my bills and stuff like that. But I didn't realize that I was being controlling in a way too. Because why did I think that a guy that has shown me multiple times that he will never like it when I am creatively free, he will always try to change me. He will always try to morph me into whatever his version of a honorable woman was. Why would I think that would change? You know what I'm saying? It's definitely two different types of control. He's actually trying to control what I do. I'm trying to control how he thinks. And I'm trying to get him to understand my perception of real love. Like, we shouldn't control each other. We should just support each other. And I can understand if I'm online looking sleazy and slutty, but I don't think I look like that. Like, I genuinely don't think I look like that or present myself like that. And my perception of my image and his perception of my image, it just was on totally different planets. And I just felt so controlled and I just felt so claustrophobic. And our ideology of what love was and what a relationship was supposed to look like was totally different. So, us being alike in a lot of ways, but also being literal opposites, it was like that brought up so much darkness. That brought up so many triggers. And, we had to deal with it in that moment because we wanted the relationship to work, but we also wanted it to work how we wanted it to work. So we were both fighting for our way. And it was insane. It was insane. So now that I'm back in solitude after that relationship, like I mentioned before, I have so much time to reminisce and to evaluate myself. And I think about certain events. I think about certain arguments. I think about the breakup. I think about good times. I think about bad times. I think about things and I ask myself, was there a better way for me to handle this? Or should I have walked away at this moment or that moment? Or, which that time I gave him that fifth chance to yell and scream at me and stuff like that. Like, should I have left at that moment or should I, I do a lot of thinking, right? But also I do try to remind myself that everything happens for a reason, and I can really just sum it up as that, and that perfectly, um, it definitely like suffices the situation because everything happens for a reason. But yeah, so also I think about the things that triggered me, and I ask myself, why did that trigger me, and why did I react so heavily, and why did that offend me so much? And I really like talk to myself. I talk to myself all the time, and I try to heal the things that triggered me in that relationship and caused me to act out of character. So, yeah, there are two types of self awareness, okay? And you got to be present for both to master them. One is your solitude, and one is with other people. I promise you, when you're in solitude, you're going to think you're healed, honey. You're going to think you healed. You're going to think that you are high vibrational. You're going to think that you are unbothered. You're going to think that you are damn near a perfect human when you're in solitude. Okay. But when you're around people, your knowledge will be put to the test. Your research will be put to the test. All those prayers, all those affirmations, all those meditations, all of that, it's going to be put to the test. And you're going to have to prove to yourself that you have emotional control, emotional discipline. You're going to have to prove to yourself in those triggering moments that you are able to walk away from something unhealthy the moment you spot it. You're going to be tested. Your willpower is going to be tested. Your love for self is going to be tested. Your self-respect is going to be tested. Everything is going to be tested. Everything that you thought you had when you were in solitude is going to be put to the test when you are around other people, especially if it's someone that you really want to be around and you really want it to work. Ooh. So yes, you guys, let me know if you resonated with this video and if it helped you think about some things in your life that you can improve on, or it just made you think about things that you may have never thought about before. And now you can dive into those aspects of yourself and heal certain parts of yourself and understand yourself a little bit more. So yeah, you need both. You definitely need both. It's balance. It's balance. It really is. Like, I remember one time I was like, I don't know if this is actually going to be possible. I hope it is, because I really do want this. I feel like in a relationship, right? I feel like the perfect scenario, sleeping wise, this perfect sleeping situation is me and my partner sleeping together in the same bed like 5 days a week, and I sleep alone 2 days a week. Because I feel like not only as an Aquarius, but as a projector in human design, I feel like I need time for my brain to run at night without anyone else's influence, energy, or distractions. Because I do a lot of my thinking and creating at night. I've always been a night owl since I was little. So my nights are productive, and prolific. A lot of people may resonate with that. Some people may not resonate with that. A lot of people's mind goes in the daytime, but my mind goes at night. So when I was in that relationship and I was with that person every single night for 2 years, those vital times where I normally create or I record or I write and I do things, it was kind of taken away from me. So in order to add balance to that, and the more self-aware I become, and the more I research my human design and my astrology, and it just reaffirms this feeling, I need some days where I am sleeping alone. It's good for my mental health, literally. So, yes, you guys. I loved making this video because this was such a big realization for me in my life. Like, I really thought that I was like healed. I thought that I was healed, honey, until I got in that relationship, and then all the demons came out. Okay? All the triggers, all the traumas, everything came out. Everything came out. And I realized that I actually wasn't good at emotional discipline. I actually wasn't good at communication as much as I thought I was. I actually wasn't good at, I guess, being, I don't know, things. I wasn't good at walking away from something that obviously wasn't healthy for me. I thought that I would walk away, but when I was put in the situation, I didn't. For 2 years, I didn't. But it's okay though, because I needed that lesson. Yep, I needed it. I needed that whole experience from beginning to end. And I strictly believe this, right? Before I go, I want to say that we broke up after the first year, and then we broke up again second year. It was like major breakups, I guess I should say. So the first major breakup, I already knew who this guy was. I knew what his ideology was. I knew what his traumas were. I knew what his issues were. I knew who he was. But only a year in, I was still so attached, and I guess I didn't see enough. Like, I needed more proof that this relationship couldn't work. I needed more proof. I just wanted to try some more. Like, let's just try some more. Let's try to communicate better. Let's try to understand each other. Let's try to show compassion to one another. Let's just try. Like, let's try again. So at that time, I was so messed up, and I was like so emotional, and I was crying and stuff like that at that first breakup, that there was no way I was going to be able to truly stay away, because I just felt like I had so many questions, so many unanswered questions, and I had so much faith in the relationship still, even after seeing all the red flags. Now, after the second year, I seen enough. Honey, I have seen enough. I have been proven that this relationship is not aligned with me, my idea of love, my idea of a healthy relationship. And I realized that the second time we broke up, it was still hard to walk away, and it was still hard to stay away, but it wasn't as bad as it was the first time. And you would think that it would get worse because I spent another year with that person, but it actually made it better, because it really showed me that even after another year of being together, that it's still not gonna get better. Like, I'm not saying that it was all bad, but the things that needed to get better was not getting better. The deal breakers were not getting better. So it's like the second year kind of just reaffirmed me, and it reassured what I seen and what I thought I knew. The first year, I wasn't ready, because I thought things were still able to be changed and molded, and maybe we can try. And the second year taught me that ain't shit changing. And if I choose to stay, it will be like this for the next 10 years. So yeah, I had to accept the fact that I cannot change nobody, even if it's for the betterment of the team. I can't change nobody, and I don't want to, because I want to align myself with a man that thinks like me and that agrees with me. if we are not in agreement, why am I even here? The second year reassured me. So walking away was still hurtful, but it was like, but I know this is the right decision. So yes, I needed that second year to be sure, you know? So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you are not subscribed to my channel already, make sure you go ahead and do that. Turn on your notifications, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.